I should mention, by the way, another student of David's received international prominence by talking about the structure of scientific revolutions, I think it's called. He introduced the term paradigm into the vernacular. It's now the word paradigm exists everywhere. But he talked in terms of paradigm shifts in science. He too was a student of
Absolutely.
David Bohm's.
And what David Bohm is doing, he's actually speaking of a different paradigm.
Exactly.
That the classical theory, the classical Newtonian theory could not explain.
I have a feeling, by the way, that many of David's students are about now to present their own interpretations, if you will, of the totality in many different fields. Many different
Exactly.
fields.
But David Bohm doesn't stop there. He doesn't say, look, I proved it mathematically, we're one whole. He sees that in laboratory, the observation of the quantum phenomena affects the observed.
Yes. That you cannot separate the two.
That you cannot separate the two. And then he goes and he reads this statement in a book. Sarah Bohm reads and says, look, Dave, what I found.
Right, and so again, it should be clarified that Krishnamurti is talking about the observer, that what I observe.
Observing of the thought changes the thought.
My observation is me. There is no separation between me and that which I observe.
Yes.
There is no me separate from my observation.
The thinker and the thought are the same thing.
Well, in fact, but beyond that, what you see and who you are, I mean, there's no separation. There was a man named Descartes 400 years ago who suggested, I think, therefore I am. And in doing so, he introduced the notion of duality, if you will. There's me and there's that. There's me and there's that.
Yes.
And in fact, there is no me and that. There's only
one movement.
all of it.
All of it, absolutely.
There is no separation. And you and I have discussed the fact that there was this man who greatly influenced David Bohm in his understanding of perception, and that's a man named James Gibson, who reinterpreted our entire understanding of perception. And he in turn suggested the same thing by saying we are not separate from our environment. We are part of our environment. So to say that, for example, in the Bible it says man gave dominion over the earth, and well, no, man cannot give dominion, dominate that which he is a part of. We've tried it, and to look at the circumstances that have resulted as a result.
Exactly. And you see too, so what I find it very meaningful is David Bohm, going back to, is seeking further, saying, why is it that I can't experience this wholeness? Why is it that I see some parallel between consciousness, between thought, and between on the macro scale, the universe, and he's trying to explore that. But you see, as a scientist, I think the greatest success of David Bohm was in his genius being, he somehow learned to observe his own thought process and not to be trapped by the intellectual delight, the intellectual curiosity aspect of it only. Because you see, if you ask nowadays, if you say to somebody, look, how do you see this universe? And they will quote it, they'll be very excited. And a lot of people who actually know Bohm, the students, young physicists, even scientists, those who has worked with him for years, they're very excited about the theorems. Oh yes, this is that, and this formula explains that, and hidden variables. And however, what is the use of it? What is the use of it? The mathematics may show me a holistic universe, but am I holistic? Is there totality? Is there oneness in my action? You see, you ask people nowadays. Is of course quantum physics is the greatest fad. It's a greatest trend.
Yes.
And I talk to people and they say, actually on the weekend, my friends say, Taher, you know what? I've got some spa. I got to go to massage, and then I do quantum physics. This is how people are unaware of their lack of experience, of the tragedy of human life, that their life, if this universe is one is bound to ask, why is it that I'm not feeling this totality? Bill, I think I feel very privileged that I'm born at this time where science has discovered the story of the universe. Its origins from single hydrogen and helium atoms up to the formation of the stars, and from the stars the birth of new elements like carbon, like calcium, and from them the birth of the planets, and from this planet the organization of atom into molecules, into complex molecules, into organic molecules, and the birth of biology, of life. And through that evolution, after 14.5 or 7 billion years, here we are talking. 6 billion years back, we were most probably at the heart of the sun. Me and you, 2 megamolecular formulation, are sitting here and talking. A universe that has advanced from simple hydrogen and helium atom to consciousness. This universe, through me and you, is conscious to itself. And a man called David Bohm comes and says, look, I see totality in here. And I'm privileged to hear a man like Krishnamurti clearly in today's modern language explaining the idea of the fragmentary nature of thought and how it is that thought, that we're not using the totality of our brain. We're using that part which concerns itself with memory and not with what is.
And that's a very, very serious problem. If I may, I would like to introduce a notion that I told David about. It was, I mentioned to you, he did a series of seminars on consciousness from 1986 to about 92. And I remember at one point, we were talking about this aspect of the brain and the fragmentation of our thought processes. And I came in one morning prior to the beginning of a seminar, and I said, I got this idea, David. I said, suppose you walk into one of these technology stores like Best Buy or Radio Shack, and they have on sale this extraordinary device. And what this device can do is everything. It can write great poetry, brilliant literature, build magnificent cathedrals. It can even take you to the moon. There's only one thing wrong with it. It lies to you. Question: would you buy it? Answer: why waste your money? We already have one. And that's our problem. It's the only problem we have. It is the source of all the self-deception in the world.
Absolutely. And this self-deception is not allowing ourselves to find our bigger self, our cosmological self.
I should say, by the way, that David did laugh. He thought that was very funny.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so I think it is in the destiny of
forgive
man.
me, by interrupting, I missed the point of you saying the cosmological self. That's a very interesting phrase. What do you mean by that?